Hello and welcome to Traditional Painting the Digital Way. This is where I use digital painting apps to teach traditional painting techniques. This is part 4 in my Celestial Butterflies series, and in this video we're going to go ahead and finish off the butterflies and finish out our painting. If you want to follow along with traditional materials, check out part 1 in this series where I have a list of all the paint and the brushes and the canvases that I use. So we're going to be using Infinite Painter for Android, and here we are working on the details of the butterfly. And in the last one I decided to make them look a little bit more transparent, and so here I'm just taking a real thin brush, and I kind of want one of the sparse bristle brushes to sort of add some color to the butterfly, but again not kill all the background, because we want to let the stars and the nebulas and the planets and all those things shine through the butterfly, because we're just trying to make it look very celestial and very fantasy-like. And here I'm adding a little bit of orange to the butterflies, adding a little bit on the tips of them, and I don't want a whole lot. I'm just adding kind of on the edges and being a little bit more careful than I was before I decided to change this. So here I'm just I want to add a little bit of some black, and again I would recommend using a dark blue or a dark purple rather than just pure black, just because it gives it a little bit more depth. Or if you use black, and this is if you're doing this traditionally, if you use black, throw in another color. Just throw in some red, throw in some blue, throw in orange, just throw in another color so that it kind of gives it a little bit more of a depth, and it's not just a flat black look. And here again I'm playing around with the opacity, and I decide that I want it still on full opacity for the butterfly, because I want you to be able to see them. I want them to stand out from the background of the galaxies. So here I'm working on the wings of the butterfly, just trying to make it look a little bit better. And then I wanted to use a brush that kind of has a little bit of some texture to it. A kind of a little bit of a jagged line, because I want these butterflies to look like they're made out of stardust or something, made out of little particles, and so I like the jagged look here. And if you're following along traditionally, you can use a script brush and just don't put a lot of paint on it, and it will kind of give it a jagged dry brush look as well. And I'm using a light blue for this, and you can use ultramarine blue with white acrylic gesso for if you're following along with your acrylics. And then I want to go ahead and add a little bit of black to the body, and again, like I said, throw in another color in your black if you're doing this traditionally. And if you're doing this digitally, just don't quite make it all the total black color, and it just kind of adds a little bit more depth to your colors, not to add total black. And then here I wanted to add a little bit more peach color to the wings, and I'm using the dry brush and Infinite Painter to get that look. And so I just wanted to add it on the edges, a little bit on the body, just kind of give it a little bit of a touch of color, but again let all the stars and the background shine through. And so then here I wanted to go ahead and work on the final butterfly, and I'm using these photo references I got off of Pixabay for these butterflies, because I like that pose for the butterflies. And again I'm working on the edges with a jagged brush, just trying to get a celestial look, kind of make it match the the look of the nebulas and the planets, a transparent look. So I'm working on the antennas, working on the shape of the wings, drawing in the lines, but not, again, covering up all the background color here. Just trying to draw in suggestions of the little veins that the butterflies have on their wings. And here adding a little bit of the black along the edges and trying to get it just kind of on the tips of the wings and a little bit smudged down, pulled down a little bit, and then add a little bit of the peach color on the wings. I just think that the peach color and the blue just sort of accent the colors that we have in the galaxy, because you kind of want them to match. I mean, you can add maybe a peach color for the butterflies instead of blue, but I just kind of like these colors, and I thought that they matched well with the nebula. And here I'm just kind of working a little bit more on the butterflies, adding the suggestion of legs, just to kind of make it look a little more accurate. You don't have to, but I just wanted to kind of add suggestion of the legs to the two butterflies that you see flying sideways. So just make really thin lines that don't detract from the picture and don't make you get distracted. You just want them very thin, but still a suggestion that they're there. And here I'm working on the antennas, and I decided they were a little bit too thick, so I went back and made them a little bit thinner. If you're following along traditionally, just make them thin the first time. I know I keep saying don't do these things. Just do it right the first time, and sometimes you don't. So what you have to do is either go back with some background color, or if you've just put it on, you can kind of erase it sometimes with acrylic. If you take some water, you can erase some of these things, but you have to get it immediately after you put it on there. So make sure you get these things accurate the first time if you're doing this traditionally. And so I decided that looked better, and I'm working a little bit more on the antennas for the biggest butterfly here, just trying to get it to look a little bit better. And I used my eraser, and that's why you would put these on a separate layer, because you want to be able to do some things like that if you mess up. And then here I'm doing a step back to see what it looks like. I like that they are showing up pretty well against the background. Here I wanted to make a little stardust trail along the wings, and so I'm using some of the brushes that will give it a kind of a stardust trail look, and I decided I didn't like that one. So I went back and used the inky brush, or the one of these other brushes that will give you this look of the stars. And if you're following along traditionally, just do this with your toothbrush like you did the stars in part 1, and just splatter them over the butterflies. And it doesn't matter if you splatter them over the butterflies. We want that look. We want it like they're scattering stardust and nebula dust around them. We want them to look like they're part of the cosmos, even though you're not going to see big giant butterflies in outer space usually, but this is a fantasy painting and we want it to look neat. So we just want to have some fun. So that's what I'm doing, is just kind of going and scattering some more stardust around. And you can use it as a light yellow or a light peach color. And I thought I would try that one, and I decided I didn't like that one at all. But I just wanted to go ahead and play around a little. And you can play around with that look if you're doing this digitally. I would suggest just using your toothbrush and leaving it if you're doing this traditionally. So here I'm just kind of trying to make a stardust trail, and then I go ahead and sign it. And I decided that that looked a little too bright, so I went ahead and and went over it with the cloudy brush just to make it blend in more, and you can just hit it with a dry brush if you're following along traditionally. I just wanted my signature to not detract from the painting. I wanted it to go along with it. So this is the end of my Celestial Butterfly series, and I thought it was a good lesson on how to paint a galaxy and how to add something to the galaxy. If you want to add something else besides butterflies, you can. A lot of people add cats and dogs. They add birds. They add dragons. There's a fantasy artist that has a whole series of space dragons, and so you can just do whatever you want to, but I thought that butterflies would look really pretty there, and so it's just a good lesson on how to do a galaxy. So stay tuned for a brand new series coming soon, and thanks everybody for watching. Thank you so much for your support. If you have any questions or any suggestions about what you would like to see next, leave them in the comments down below, and I will catch you later.